The Democratic Party continues to chase its own tail as the leadership grapples with a way to move the party forward. That was evident at this week's Welcome Fest, an event Politico described as the moderate Democrats' Coachella. Politico also said it's where, quote, hundreds of centrist elected officials, candidates, and operatives gathered to commiserate over their 2024 losses and their party's penchant for purity tests. The general tone of Welcome Fest was that Democrats should remain center to win back voters, which predictably drew criticism from progressives who characterized the event as tone deaf. Kat Abou-Gazella is still with us. Kat, thanks so much. So what is your take on how the party is shaping up to fight in the next election?
Yeah, people are understandably disappointed in politics, but also the Democratic Party. And I don't think the centrist approach, it confuses me because I don't know what they mean by center. Does that mean that you're moving closer to the right? Does that mean that you're willing to partner with Elon Musk? Because I think what we should be defining as the center is the idea that every American affords housing, groceries, and healthcare with money left over and doesn't kowtow to corporate donors. And so the Democratic Party needs to make politics more accessible, and it needs to actually talk to voters about what they want. And there's no secret key for every single demographic. People just want to have lives that they can live safely, comfortably, and their loved ones will also have that.
So are you saying that the moderates in the Democratic Party don't think people should have an affordable cost of living? I don't quite understand the strain of Democrats that you are critiquing here.
I think we've seen a lot of this idea that we need to throw trans people under the bus, or we need to maybe back down on supporting the queer community, on supporting immigrants, on, supporting reproductive rights. You see consistently this feeling that we need to be not woke anymore. And I'm not sure if woke is bad if it just means basic human rights. And while there are plenty of moderate Democrats that want the best for Americans and work towards that, I think we should reevaluate what we are seeing as moderate. Does that mean closer to Trump, or does that mean closer to the values the Democratic Party used to stand for? Social Security, the New Deal, the Civil Rights Act, these big, bright ideas for the future that actually improve people's lives.
Do you see it as a generational divide or as an ideological one? Because you look at somebody like a Chuck Schumer, certainly foreign policy has now become a major wedge, if you will, among the Democratic Party. There is a divide. You look at somebody like Chuck Schumer and where his position is on, let's say, the war in Gaza. He was recently at a protest. We even have a clip of it. I'll play it for you and get your reaction to it. Watch.
Schumer, what are you talking about? Children are being burned to death. Children are being starved in Gaza. The ICE is kidnapping people out of our streets and out of our courtrooms. What are you talking about?
This is Viktor Orban's America. And you catalyzed the genocide. It started with the Democratic Party.
So that was during a book tour. Obviously, a lot of divide there. But then you also have like younger progressives like Richie Torres, who also take even more hardline position against the what is happening in Gaza, the war there. I'm curious to get your thoughts. Is it a generational divide or an ideological one? How do you see it when it comes to the issue of foreign policy?
Oh, for the issue of foreign policy, I think it's kind of like the issue of domestic policy. It's about approach. It's about recentering where our values are. I think a lot of people are frustrated about American weapons, how they're used, or what the approach is there. But I also think that people are wondering why we spend so much when we don't have American citizens living healthy lives where you can't afford health care, where you can't afford housing. And I think that just this complete, it's being out of touch. The Democratic Party and Democratic leadership specifically, they haven't been meeting the moment. They're working from a playbook that's outdated, and it's 2025. We need to act like it.
Well, what do you advise about the crisis of young voters and Democrats, though, specifically, when we're not just talking about, policy, ideology, but you just look at the numbers, and it was abysmal how many young men specifically didn't vote for Kamala Harris. And so there are all these, different iterations of winning men back, within the Democratic Party. But what is the message of economic reality that young men are not hearing from the Democratic Party right now?
Yeah, look, this is simple. People want to be treated with respect. They want to be treated like they're smart, because they are, and they want to be recognized that life is difficult. We need to show and not tell. My campaign is focused on being hyper local, hyper accessible. Our campaign office doubles not only as a free library, as a third space, but we have a take what you need policy with mutual aid shelves. Our events are focused on helping the community with food drives, period product drives, trying to benefit others' lives. And what that has resulted in is thousands of volunteers, many of which are young men, consistently being involved in this campaign that might have been apathetic before. And I hope that other people adopt this strategy too, because you're not only helping your community, you're spending your money in a way that we don't usually see in politics. And that counts for my opponents. I want them to outspend me in the community. It would be a net good. And additionally, it's not just about having competitive primaries. We're supposed to be on the same team. We have different backgrounds, different approaches, but we need to stand for something. And I think people don't feel that from the Democratic Party. On Thursday, my campaign is throwing a pride party in Andersonville, and I've actually invited my opponents to co-sponsor it because the queer community is under attack by Donald Trump. And while I haven't heard back yet, I hope that changes. But I think it's this thing that we need to stand for something. And if people are curious about our approach, they can go to catforillinois.com. That's cat with a K. We're just trying something different. We're trying to show, not tell.
Okay, so you mentioned the word hyperlocal a couple of times. I have a very basic question about your campaign. You don't live in the district where you are running. Why didn't you decide to run in the district where you live? If it's all about being hyperlocal, why be local somewhere where you don't live?
Absolutely. So actually, I just signed my lease for my apartment. So when my partner and I moved to Chicago, it was a really short notice. We got a new apartment, and the first semi-furnished place we could find. It was like a 2-week transition, and then looked at neighborhoods we liked. And housing is difficult, especially as a renter, to find a good lease, to break leases. So we decided the neighborhoods we wanted to live were Rogers Park, Edgewater, Andersonville. And so I wanted to run in the district I plan to live in, that I spend most of my time in, that I built a community in.
All right. We wish you the best of luck in your campaign. Certainly, I would say, groundbreaking in your hyper-local approach to it, and certainly wish you the best of luck and look forward to having many conversations with you about that and much more.
Absolutely.